Hi there, I'm Lori Voss Furukawa, founder of Create, Play, Grow Out of the Box Living, coming to you here today from my creative kitchen in Germany. So today I would like to share with you some information about our mood and how our food affects our mood. So the food we eat has energy in it. It has nutrients in it and minerals and vitamins and all those kinds of things. But it also has an energetic component to it. And the energy in our food naturally affects our mood. So food with a higher vibration, which would be freshly picked fruits and vegetables or raw food in that way, holds actually the highest vibration when it's extremely fresh, like you've just picked it out of the ground, or you've just picked it from the tree and you eat it. It holds the highest vibration. It's got the most life force in it. And when we have something that comes out of a bag or a box, for example, that's been processed and had some kind of maybe chemical change done to it so it can preserve and have a longer shelf life, the energetic value of the food is very low. And it also has a low frequency. You can think of it in that way. That frequency is low. And that when we eat it, we also have that kind of low frequency that barely vibrates throughout our body. And when we have the food, for example, like I said, that was freshly picked, it has a really high frequency, a high natural energy in it, full of life force. Eating that comes into our body and we naturally feel really good. Unfortunately, a lot of us right now in this time that we're going through with this COVID-19, we don't have access to fresh fruit and vegetables on a regular basis. So one amazing opportunity for you to change something in your kitchen, or increase if you've already been doing it or are familiar with it, is making sprouts. Sprouts hold an amazing amount of life force. The seed itself holds everything in it in order to create new life. So it has complete and total life force. Okay? So that life force, when we eat a sprout, is going to do amazing things for our body. It's going to provide a lot of strength, minerals, nutrients, vitamins, all of that good stuff that we need, and a natural, good, high vibration. Okay? Unless you, for example, fry your sprouts, we're losing the vibration now because you've added a high heat and basically killed it. But let's go back for a second. If we eat that raw sprout, we are providing ourselves with an amazing amount of nutrition and a good high vibration to have clarity of mind, to provide also good enzymes for your gut and a healthy digestion. It's all connected. So when we do good things that go in here, it goes in here, it connects here. Everything is functioning at a better space. Okay? So I'm going to give you a quick demo today about making sprouts. So I'm very fortunate where I live right now in Germany. We have access to a lot of good seeds for sprouting. I have here is called wheatgrass. I also have quite a wide selection at home because I like to make a different variety and change. This is an actual mix. It has a few different grains in there because they want to have us a wide variety. I have broccoli sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, and one is broccoli, one is arugula, and this one is broccoli here. Alfalfa, arugula, broccoli, yeah. So all the different kinds of seeds, they can make sprouts and we can eat them. The end result is after about a week or so, I have this fresh, beautiful life force energy, and I didn't have to go to the supermarket. I didn't have to pay anybody to do that for me. I can do it myself. The only thing you need to source is some good sprouts, some good seeds, and you can do this yourself and provide yourself with an amazing energy for your body that helps also your immune system to fight off diseases and illness. So what's not to love about sprouts? When they get to this stage also, I just keep it in the fridge and I'll eat it fresh, although I try not to eat it cold because I don't like that for my tummy. But the point is keeping them fresh is also key. So as I said, sprouts, we need to do a little demo here. So I have some wheatgrass that I've already measured out. And the way that I do that is I will put it in a strainer. This is the first step. You're going to put it in your strainer and rinse it. Rinsing off any potential dust or pollen, dirt that might have just been collected from the process of it being collected itself out from the ground as well. So it's just a little rinse. Once you rinse that off, putting it into your bowl, a nice clean bowl. We need to make sure everything's clean in our kitchens because we don't want to have bacteria. The first step, super simple, super easy. Rinse it, put it in a bowl, put some water in it. We want to cover it with water. So you want to make sure that it's covered by water, a couple centimeters to an inch, inch and a half, because everything will expand a bit. Now I don't have very much seeds in here in the bottom, so certainly this is not going to be a problem. You want to make sure though that there is enough water so everything is completely submerged. This will stay submerged for 8 to 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours this needs to stay in here. The reason why it needs to stay in water for 8 to 10 hours, there is a protective coating on each seed. This is done by nature because nature wants to protect its baby. Those seeds are the babies, okay? So it protects the seed from fungus, from bacteria, from insects, from birds. These kinds of things, they're going to stay away from this protective coating that's on all of our seeds and nuts and grains and legumes. Okay, so I'm just going to speak about seeds, but it goes across those four when I'm speaking about this. So that protective coating on there does have a very real purpose. And that purpose, as I said, gets washed away as the seed is in the ground and it starts to rain on it and it gets washed away. And then after the rain, the seed starts to grow and it starts to produce new life. So there we have this seed that holds everything for life force, gets the water. We're mimicking the rainwater here. The water soaks for 8 to 10 hours like a good rainfall would. Off comes this protective film, and then it's easier for us to digest. So we can technically eat these kinds of seeds, nuts, grains, and legumes without soaking and rinsing them, but they really hurt our digestive system and cause a big burden for us, which is causing a lot of people gas. It's not gassing, bloating, you really don't feel good. It's hard to digest after, maybe even heartburn as well. These kinds of things happen because generally a lot of people unfortunately don't prepare their nuts, seeds, grains, and legumes properly. So first step, we soak it. We want that coating to come off. When we're gonna wait, so I like to do it, I do it just before I go to bed. I'll rinse and put everything in water like this. And then when I wake up in the morning, I will rinse it off. So I'm just gonna simulate so how you can see how it's gonna go. So let's just take, for example, this, let's say this soaked overnight, okay? So I would come in the morning, come back in here, I dump everything out in my strainer, a clean strainer again. And now the key is to make sure everything gets rinsed off properly because it was just sitting in the water. So just really rinse and rinse everything off. So you can imagine all of those, all that protective coating, which is actually a toxic burden for us, gets removed. Okay, so really rinse that off nice and well. Once that gets rinsed off, now that that coating is gone, it's really important that you do not touch these seeds anymore because you have the potential to contaminate them. We don't want to contaminate anything. We want to keep it good for us to eat. We've washed away the protective coating. We need to keep those little seeds, those little babies, nice and clean so they'll grow good and strong for us. So now I like to use, I have some glass, technically they're baking trays. I use them for my sprouting. I put this is nice and rinsed off. I like, because we're not supposed to touch that, I just tap my hand on the bottom, make sure it gets all the water off because we want to have it not dry, but we also don't want to have it soaking wet. We don't want it laying in a puddle when we put it into our container. And then I just tap it here into my container, lay it in there. Now I take, I have chopsticks. I like using chopsticks, or if you have a fork, that works also. Just make sure your kitchen utensils are clean. You want to spread them out in your tray so everything has an opportunity to breathe, basically. If they're all on one pile, the ones on the bottom are going to be getting opportunity for bacteria and fungus to grow on there, and we don't want that because we want something clean that we're going to consume that's going to provide nutrition for our body. So just spreading it out nice and flat. Can you see that on there? Yeah, just spreading that out nice and flat, and now you're going to just let that sit. So in the idea of this that we've done, it's soaked overnight. We've rinsed it in the morning. Now, I don't put the lid on tight. I just lay it on top like that. So there's still opportunity for air, but it's covered in terms of nothing's necessarily going to fall in there or fly in there. And I just leave it on my counter. And 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, I'll rinse it again. Same process, just a rinse with cold water, shake everything off, put it back into the same tray. And that process allows it to still be clean, and it allows the sprouts to continue to have water because they need water to grow. They're not soaking in water, they're not laying in water. We're using the strainer to help get all the water out. But they have access to the water because there is some moisture there, and they have access to air because we haven't sealed them off completely, so there is some circulation, and that process is going to allow them to sprout. And you're going to leave them, it's basically almost like a 12-hour shift they have for growing. So if we rinse them, say in the morning, we'll rinse them again in the evening, it's about 12 hours in that time frame, then comes next morning, rinse them again, and so on until you start to get the sprouts that you want, until they're the size that you want to eat them. Some sprouts can be eaten raw, like these ones that I've already shown you here. These ones are all good for raw eating. Now, I recently also tried steaming them, which was super delicious. I put them on just some different dishes and steamed them a bit. They tasted a little bit different and just also very nice, but they don't need to be cooked. But if you're thinking about sprouting bigger kidney beans, for example, these kinds of things can all be sprouted as well. They are going to need to be cooked first before you eat them. And sprouting those beans, different types of kidney beans or adzuki beans, black beans, big garbanzo beans, chickpeas, all these different ones as well can be sprouted, but they should be cooked. And if you do so, sprouting them enhances the life force because now they've gotten into that space that they're providing that extra opportunity for growth and creation of a new plant. So it's been activated. That just provides all the more nutrients for your body when you consume it, which, I mean, who doesn't want good nutrients, right? So the process is really quite simple. Step number 1, rinse, soak overnight. Number 2 is soaking overnight. Number 3, next morning, rinse everything off really well. Really, really, really well. Rinse it off. Put it in a nice container. Preferably, really, I would suggest glass. Also, stainless steel works. Plastic works as well, but I think plastic is questionable because it has the opportunity to provide us with toxins and chemicals and things that we want to really avoid. So I personally would suggest if you have a lot of plastic in your kitchen, take some steps to try to move away from that, and maybe you can make some small purchases to get some glassware or some betterware that is not going to harm your body. Once it's in this container, it can sit on your kitchen counter for 12 hours at a time. If you start to notice it's smelling bad, probably that means it is bad and it should go in the garbage. If you are not sure about what you are doing, you can always ask me and I can try to help you. But if you really feel questionable about if it's good to eat or not, throw it away. We don't want to be eating food that's not good for us. We have enough garbage in our environment already that we cannot control. We don't want to be putting in food that is going to be harming our bodies. So if you live in a hot climate, you're going to need to rinse this that sits on your counter every 3 to 4 hours, like the Philippines, for example, or a tropical climate, or Brazil, or Mexico, something like this. If you're living in Europe, in North America, you should be okay with 12 hours. This doesn't need to sit in the sun to sprout. Actually, it shouldn't. You can just put it on the side. I just keep it out of the direct sunlight. It doesn't need to be in a dark corner. It's not like it's fermenting. It's not that case. If you are also concerned that maybe it might be too hot in my kitchen, or maybe I can't make it exactly back, or maybe you just, you'd feel like you'd want to let it, if you're in a hot climate and you won't have time to rinse it every 2 to 3 hours, or 3 to 4 hours, you can keep it in your fridge. So, same container, just put it in your fridge. When you have time to rinse it, take it out, leave it on your counter for a couple hours if you can. it still has that sprouting process where it's hotter in the natural temperature of the room or the house or outside. You're going to get that sprouting is going to happen and occur a lot faster. I think I've given you a lot of information here to digest. I do truly wish that you will try sprouting. So one of the easiest things that you can find if you don't have access to good seeds to sprout is mung beans. Mung beans are often found very easily in Asia. They're also in Asian markets if you live outside of Asia. Of course, always go for organic because we don't need extra garbage and chemicals again in our life. These ones are super easy to sprout. They can be eaten raw. They can be cooked easy. You can grow them longer. You can have them little short ones, add on a salad. Super delicious, super nutritious, fresh, life force food for you to eat. You can eat it every day. It doesn't matter what the supermarket's providing for you. You can do it. You can also do the same with quinoa or quinoa, however you want to pronounce that. Same protocol, everything. So you can soak your all your seeds, nuts, grains, legumes, all of these things can sprout, and all of them will take 8 to 10 hours. You can go up to 12 hours and not less than 8, okay? But more or less 8 to 10 hours. Also, I have here some buckwheat. That is also, it's a beautiful grain that also sprouts. It's so delicious. Once it sprouts, it's so soft once you cook it. Also, maybe you're familiar with pearl barley. That's another one. In the Philippines, it's called adlai. A little bit different texture, but amazing. I really do miss adlai. It's a little bit whiter and nice, but this one is also really good. In German, it's Gerste, but same thing. All of them have the same protocol. The sprouts will come at different times depending on the seed quality, depending on the type of seed in general as well. I also am very fortunate here. You could probably find it on the internet. I've gotten mine in the store in Germany. This is a sprouter or a germinator. So is what you have to do. Same concept. You can pour the water through here. The water goes through this little hole in there, goes through to the next level of seeds, drains through to the bottom. When it's done, empty it out. Same thing, you would rinse it 2 times a day if you're in North America, Europe, South America, depending how close you are to the equator as well. And if you're in a tropical climate, then you need to just rinse it more often. Recently, I found that if I just poured the water through here, sometimes there was certain grains or because this is a mixed one. This is one of the mixed ones that I had. Sometimes the mixed ones might get moldy in there, and if one gets moldy, I got to throw the whole batch out because I'm not risking this contamination and I don't want that in my body. I've been working too hard to be healthy. I got to get the garbage out. So I decided that I'm going to just do the same protocol that I use for this one. So I just run the water in here, pour everything through here, rinse it, and I put it back. And if I need, I just clean the tray in between. It works very well. And everything grows very easily here. So there's also some germinators that look like a mason jar. You might have seen that. Just be careful with those when your grains or your seeds are really stacked quite thick, because you're giving that opportunity for those ones that are really covered to have bacteria growth. We want good bacteria. We want good vibes, good food, life force nutrition. So on that note, I am going to say goodbye. I wish you well. Happy sprouting. Happy life force eating. If you have any questions, you can find me on Facebook at Create, Play, Grow Out of the Box Living, or on Creative Kitchen, Life Force Kitchen. You can also send me an email at createplay.growtoday. That's createplay.growtoday@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to help you. I really have been eating this way for 2 years, just over 2 years now, and it's changed my life tremendously. I feel so much more amazing in my body, physically, mentally, emotionally. It's an amazing way to eat when we can really tap into the nutritional value of food and have that support our body the way it's supposed to. So a happy sprouting. Take care. I wish you all the best. Stay healthy. And remember that it's important to eat good, fresh food so you can have a strong immune system and be happy and healthy. Take care. Bye for now.